Okay, I've opened a sheet, a workbook called Pivot Table. It's there in our drive. I'll show you. Basic pivot table we had seen yesterday. I had shown you the design options and all the formatting, the report design. Those three formats were there, na? Your compact, outline, tabular, and whether you want to show in your subtotals, you want to show in your grand totals, all of those options. Now here is your pivot table. Okay, this is what I've opened up. If you want to separately look at the data set, yes, data set also is available here. But pivot, the whatever the data set is available, extra one more additional attachment is also given. You might see that also. Both of them are there. Okay. What I will do is I will open a blank one. You have got I'll copy this particular data set and then show you one by one. Now this data set is all about a imaginary chocolate factory, okay, wherein like it's been spread across 6 geographies. You're seeing some column as geography over here. There are 6 geographies over here, and a bunch of sales doing this. Your year, the date on which the sales is really happening has been there in the C column. And one more time that's repeated, but then it's come kind of a small customization I've done just to display your month and your year. Of course, if you see at the background, the uh, number one only, like every other date, first day of that particular month has been chosen. And you can do. It's just that you're going to pick up this date, just going to change the 8 to 1 using date function. You can just try that. Okay. Wherein in the date function, year and month you will be picking up from here only. Only the day part you can put it by default as 1. So it will be like start of the month. Okay. You have a end of year month. Just like that, you will have a start, but the exclusively start of the month is not there. Something like start of the month you don't have. Okay. Just like we have a EO month predefined function is there, built-in function is there, you don't have something like start of the month. Okay. Anyway, that customization only I have done here. The actual product which is being sold out, what is the revenue generated? You have the units also that was being sold out. Then you have something like average sales. Average sales is for that entire one. You can see here F2 to F717. So basically around 716 records are there in this data set. Okay, and average sales I have added separately. There is a reason why I have added. You will get to know when we go to the charts and all. I will show you the chart slowly and steadily along with 4 tables. At that time, some sort of comparison I want to do, I'll be using the average sales. It was not given prior hand. Okay. Now, what are the questions that we are going to see here? Total sales by month per salesperson. Okay. First, I'll insert a pivot table for me. I'll go to the new sheet. I don't want to make it all clumsy. Total sales by, what is one? Total sales by month per salesperson. Okay, sales, I'll move to the values. By month, they are saying. So I could use a date, I could use a month and year, both any options. Anyway, I've used the date one. Here they say by month, right? But then I have what I have is all date I have. I can convert it to month. Definitely can do that. There are 4 years values is there. How to do that? In your table, pivot table analyze, you have an option called group selection, ungroup. You're going to use these two options. You need not even come here. You can just do a right click. You will get the options as group and ungroup. Okay. If you select group over here, it will give you what kind of grouping you can really have. It's a date, so only four components at the maximum you can have: years, quarter, month, and day. How is it that you want to group? By default, month is there. I can merge along with years also. If I do that, I'm going to get, if I do that, you will just see your year and month. It is something like, let me do a control Z. What it is doing, grouping, what it is doing is, in a year, like first is 2014, na? So here, this is for January 2014, we have just got one record. But for February, you've got two records. So 805 and 819, just add it up. You're getting 1624. For March 2014, I've got four records. So just add these four. 2772, it's 27727. So if I am going to group, 1 minute. Yeah. If I do the grouping again, now see, is it not doing the same thing what I told you? So for in a year, it's grouping all the months and then giving you the total value. Now there was a reason why I added the month year also. I could have done without my year also. Not a big deal. It'll be like Jan of all the 4 months or all the 4 years, it is generating a sales of 86079, like 886,000. It's really generate. We are able to generate the month of January, but it just says month January. But which month of January? Say if I were, there are 4 Januaries. I want to know what are the individual values. At that time, if we have the grouping with the years as well, it will have a much more better option. Yeah, you get my point now. I can come here. I can do one thing, maybe. No, that's okay. Maybe I can just see here. This is 1003. I mean 10213. Then this is 36,000. You have a 22,000. And last you have a 17,000. All four you can just see how is that 86,000 only we'll get it. Now grouping is definitely based on what kind of field or column you're trying to group. You have options here for time also. If you have a time period column is available, you can do the grouping with your hours, minutes, and seconds also you can do. Here it's more of your grouping in the years, months, and the grouping. Whenever you choose this option, by default, these options only come up. Grouping we might do for, there's one more option of grouping in available in pivot table, but it's not for a date column. Generally we want to group in the date columns only. If we want to do some sort of grouping with a text columns, there is another option, like there is another feature available. It's called a calculated column, not sorry, yeah, calculated field and calculated column. You have one like that. I'll show you that in some. Let's first resolve all these questions and then we'll come over there. You have an option. Maybe it was written there. 1 minute. Yeah, sorry, calculated item. My mistake. See, calculated field and calculated item. There is something like that. You can use that if you're asking to group the text columns. Definitely there. Numerical columns, nobody is going to do the grouping. Nobody. So obviously numerical columns is more for aggregation purpose rather than grouping. Dates, definitely I can do the grouping as been shown here. And if I want to ungroup, right click, go for ungroup, job done. If I come to this analyze and I do this group selection, same option, same dialog box is going to pop up. Now, nobody asked me what is this starting and what is this ending. Nobody asked me. Okay, no idea. Thing is, the minimum value, date value here is 9/1/2014. It is 9th of January 2014. And the last one is 31st of December 2017. These two are like, that's why it even says as auto. Okay, it's like I want to group this entire range. That's what it means to say. Okay, and this has been picked up by default from the Excel end. We don't have to lay our hands on them. Let it be like that only. Okay, so that's your group and all. If you want to do with respect to quarter, definitely you can do that. I can come here, I can select quarter, maybe I'll remove the default months and then I can go for years. I can definitely do that. If I want, yes. It's all based on requirement. What are we being asked to show? Depending on that. If unnecessary, okay, days nobody will ask. If you are do dates means it will be something like this. I'm not going to get my year part. Maybe I can merge with year. I'm going to get that whole of it. But then it's just going to be too much if you really ask me. For 1 month, you're going to see all the daily, like the day-to-day transactions. Though we don't want to see. When pivot table, the main purpose of using a pivot table, that itself is gone. Because pivot table is all about summarization. Okay, maybe if I'm given a data which is related to just 30-day transaction, a specific month transaction details are given, then maybe I might go in for this day option, day grouping. Otherwise, no. Nobody as a whole, like as a bunch, maybe in a month, what was the transaction, what was the sales value in a quarter, in a month, like that only we want to going. Because see here, summarization means I should see a summary of it. I shouldn't see that whole bunch of records once again. What is the use of you utilizing this pivot table? That itself is gone, right? So that was the main notion of telling you all, especially the day part. Of course, if you go alone for day, it you might even go this for 7 also. Weekly, this is something like a weekly transactions. Okay, if at all you are being asked to really get in over here. But if instead of this, I have another, not that instead of this, I can go in for one more idea. Anyone remembers there is a week number function in Excel? I have talked about this during date functions. Can anyone remember what is a week number function all about? What is the purpose of using that? Week number. Or everything erased? All the functions are all erased from your mind? Okay, week number is going to tell me which week of the year a specific date is really falling under. Say we are this 25th, today's date, 25th of September 2025. Using that week number function, I can find out which week number we are currently in. There are 52 weeks in a year. So I can find out which week of the year we are currently in using the week number function. WEEKNUM, week number. Go back to the recording and you can find out. You can add a column over here. Definitely you can do. You can add a new column called week number. And then you can create a pivot table. In the pivot table field list, that week number also will come here. You can just directly drag in over here. You can do that. Of course, you have this option also. If you want, you can use this. Anyway, that's all there. Any questions or I can move on? That's all about the grouping. Okay, moving on. Now group field as in again the same option only. It's going to the same dialog box is what is going to get opened up. That's all about this small ribbon you're seeing as group. Okay. Before I move on to the other one, I guess what was the question? Let me complete that question and come back. Okay, by month and by salesperson. So I can drag in the salesperson over here. Definitely can do that. If it'll be something like for each salesperson, how much like for each year, and in each year, which are the months, and in each of those months, how much revenue he or she is really generating. You understand what have I done? You're listening me?
Yes, ma'am. Understood, ma'am.
There is small two icons over here. This is for your expand and collapse. Okay. If I do this, everything is going to be collapsed at one go. This is expand. I can come to this area and now go for one more expand. All of it will be opened. Okay, maybe I don't want to go for a manual one by one by one. I don't want. I can just do a collapse. I can come to this area and do one more collapse. Everything is done. Okay, that is what is the utilization of these two icons over here. Okay, what are these over here? I'll come one left active field. As of now, we are in salesperson field. If I come here to tell me we are in sum of sales field. Okay, that's what whichever field we are in, it is going to tell me that. You have something like show details. Of course, with salesperson it was not showing, but with my sum of sales it was showing. This particular one is very much active. I will click and just show you what's there in detail. Now it's nothing but it's creating a table for me. The table is having all the details related to bar Fogny. Okay, all the 4 years, whatever data is there but related to bar Fogny, you are going to see that. See here, salesperson bar Fogny. There it was like a summary. Okay, you are getting here summary wise like 2014 this much, 15 this much, 16 and 17 this much. If I want to know the underlying details, what do you mean by underlying details? The underlying records which go to this grouping or which go to the summarization. Maybe I want to do some extra digging. I have some doubt in mind that this guy is not really performing well. Maybe I'm just giving you an example. I've got all the details like underlying all the records for the person bar Fogny. I'm getting to whole of it. I'm getting how many? See how many records are there? 78 records. Yeah, 78 records are there. 79 in fact. Yeah, 77. Okay, it's a table. Yeah. Hmm? All across all regions, across all dates, from the data set respective, all the 4 years is available. What all chocolates that he has sold, what is the revenue regarding that? This is going to be the same, that's no change. How much units of it is also he has sold, I can do. Especially for further digging, that show details is all about, no other thing. Okay, I'll come back here. That's what is my show details all about. You have something called your field settings. Now, field settings, okay, here, if I have to change the format of this, I can do it. If I want to change how it's getting displayed, I can do. I can play. Only thing I should know see, every other thing I should know the concept. If I understand the tool to some level, good. Tool knowledge is always not enough. Underlying, like when you go and join a particular project, they are going to give you some KT as to what is the process all about, what is the process that they follow. Is there some business that they are following means the what is the business ideologies, what are the KPIs, or maybe how is the business, not even KPIs, how is the business flow actually happening? Maybe any day-to-day transactions being captured by a certain software. Which software the company maintains? Is the software maintained by that company or it's a third party tool and all? Every other thing they are going to give you. So that knowledge, if you understand more, along with the tool knowledge, things are going to come up much better. Okay, lots of talking. I'll go here. This value field settings is there. You can get the same dialog box with another area also. How I'll tell you. I can just do a right click. This mouse and right click, especially mouse, is a very powerful tool. As in to say, I can come here. See that same value field settings I'm going to get here also. These options you will get number formatting and all, you will get from that right click itself, or every other option is there. You can do a right click, you see your coming show details is there. Then if you want to hide this field list, yes, you may summarize value by. See, there are two options. Okay, I thought of going there a bit later. Anyway, well, let's go a bit later. Okay, let me finish this up and then, and one more thing I wanted to show here, and then I'll come to that area. Okay, hold on for some time, 10 to 10 minutes, hold on there. So field settings, where basically the summer, just a brief of it, I won't go more. Later I'll talk about it. Here it's showing me the default summarization, SUM. I can change it to average, count, maximum, minimum, variance, standard deviation, every Tom, Dick, and Harry can change. How it is getting displayed, like as of now, it's in figures. Maybe some percentage changes I want to show. There are options for that. Okay, I can do that. The name of the column here in the pivot table is sum of sales. I need not keep that. I can have a proper customized name also. Maybe like total sales. I can have that. I can change it over here. I will say don't, no need to even come here. Directly come to this particular cell. It's open. That's why I'm not going there. I can close this. Come over here. It's a editable field only. Normal field. Just change it. Okay. One more thing is you can alter the numbering for number format. Okay, if it's a decimal number means I can say what is the how many decimal places I want. Do I want to show the thousand separator? If it's a currency, I can say which currency I want to change. Maybe now it's in INR. If it's in USD, I might change to INR. Any other I can do that. Rest all the number formatting which we know the basis, the strong basis of our Excel. Everything is over here. Okay, so basic these three options, these for 1, 2, 3 is only there. We can go over there. There also, when one more time I'll go there. Okay, so this area is done. Active field is done. This is left out. I will talk about that. Next, over here, two more things. Then I'll move on to what I was talking. The pivot table name is given as pivot table 1. Okay. Now, I remember I have told you when you are going to create a table, table name gets populated as table 1, table 2, table 3. I have suggested you to change the table names, not keeping them as table 1, table 2, rather than giving a proper customized name like orders, sales, products, customers. Do you all remember? I have told you to change them. Yes, no? Do you all remember why I have told you to do that?
Yes, ma'am.
Why? Why I have told you? If you're saying yes means why I have told you to change them.
The table names so that it will be easier for to access, ma'am. Customizing
So that it will be
easier to access and also easier to understand,
your
ma'am. We
voice is
can
getting broken. The last two words what I are talking now, I'm not able to hear.
So when we customize the table name, it will be easier to access as well as it will be easier to understand what each table contains.
Not accessing part, ma, easy to recognize.
Recognize.
No
Okay, okay,
access
ma'am.
part. Table 1 is also there. I can access the table name anyhow. If it is some Tom, Dick, and Harry or some horror movie name, not a big deal. But to recognize what is the table all about, what is the table actually holding, which data it is holding. If I want to recognize that easily, that can be done through a table name only. Even without before going to that actual table data, I can just identify it from the table name itself. Now that you don't have to do over here. Keep the pivot table 1 as pivot table 1 only. Don't change it to any other name. Why I'm saying that is table names we do utilize them or we use them in functions. We have seen that in VLOOKUP, we have seen in index match, we have seen HLOOKUP is not there. Even other functions we have we do use our table names in our functions as an alternative to a normal range of cells. We do utilize the table references, we do that, but pivot table names we don't use in functions. Pivot table names will be used at only one place. I will tell you there where you have to do that. I'll show you. There's a place. I'll come over there, especially when you go to a chart, when you build a dashboard, at that time only you're going to be needing that. There is only one place, and at that place, it's better that you maintain your one pivot table 2. That is easier recognition for pivot tables. Okay, not like table names being utilized in a function. Pivot table names won't be utilized in a function, so we don't have to bother about that. Okay, and with the pivot table name changing, we are not going to understand, we don't have to be serious. Don't waste your time even a half minute or a 0.5 seconds to change that pivot table name. Leave it as it is. Okay, now coming to one function that you can use in a pivot table, which is your get pivot table. Okay, of course your options are being there. Options is something very much related to the pivot table layout and all. We'll come later to it. Not much of a, even if you don't know, not big of a deal. What is it that I want to talk about here is get pivot data. It's a function. Now what is it that function? Okay, 1 minute. Okay, I am here where I am for bar Fogny, May month 2014. If I have to generate my pivot, get pivot data function, good part, you don't need to memorize the arguments. It will get popped up on its own. How? This particular tick is there, na? Due to that tick only it will happen. Now I'll just click on an empty cell, start off with an equal to sign, just like we do, and then click on any cell which has got a value within my pivot table. And whole pivot get pivot data function has been with the arguments has been generated for me. I hit enter. I am able to do that. Now, what is it that arguments are means your sales. We are in the this particular sales one only. Okay, I'll open FX. That maybe it might be easier for you. Okay, we are in the sales field. That's why it says data field is sales. Then our pivot table starts from A3. Then in we are really trying to access salesperson detail. The salesperson detail is actually bar for me. That's why it says here it's like a pair, field and item pair. The field is salesperson. Okay, I'm saying it's 1568, but what is that 1568 all about? It's the sales value for the month of 2000 and May 2014 generated by Bar Fogny, right? So the related salesperson is Bar Fogny. So my field is salesperson, item is Bar Fogny. Same way, next field is month date. This is month of the date column. It's in a grouping, that's why you're seeing this kind of a one. And what is that month is May. It's in the number format, not May month, like MAY, not in name format. It's been shown in the number format. You can just scroll down, you'll see that. See, item is 5. Then fourth one is your year. I'm just saying month, but what is that year? So your next field is years from the date column, and that value is 2014. Okay, so what is the concerned column we are actually retrieving the data? That's nothing but the sales column. Our pivot table starting from which value? Why they are really telling here is, if it's a new sheet that where we are placing a pivot table, the default cell reference is A3. But if we are in some existing sheet is something we are really placing them, we can have some other cell reference as a starting point. So it's just giving us a starting point for our easier location. Okay, then you have pairs of field and item. So what is that 1568? To reach that, it's nothing but the revenue generated by salesperson Bar Fogney for the month of May in year 2014. Just like a small sentence, if you are just talking, I have to just to make it easier, I told in a sentence, but that's what is there in the get pivot data. Okay, now see, extracts data stored in a pivot table. Just by that purpose, which says extracts data stored in a pivot table. What do you understand? Anyone? It is extracting the data from a pivot table. Is that so? That's what you understand, or something else you are getting the feel? Why would I even extract the data from a pivot table? Is there could be any purpose for doing that? I can utilize it elsewhere. I can usually utilize that particular value, maybe to refer in, maybe in a chart I can use, or I can use it in some sort of a slicer, or especially I'll say to further analyzation, not even I won't say charts and all, that's too much of an advanced. I'll just say if I want to do further analyzation of this particular value, I can just utilize this value onto a function. I can refer to this say cell reference and then I can utilize it. That's the main purpose of get pivot data. How to get the data available in my pivot table? Can I bring it outside? Can I maybe assign it to a variable? Here till now we have not assigned it to a variable. I can definitely do that. How? Using name range. Here I can give it, it's as of now E6 is the name. I can just alter it the name and then I can refer it somewhere else. Yeah, I can do that. Okay, that's the main purpose of your get pivot data. Something just to extract the data that is being stored or available onto my pivot table. And here, while this option generate get pivot data, it's in a tick format, huh? Something like it's a default option. That's the reason I don't have to write that function manually. It's a default settings in Excel. Okay. Again, telling your pivot table names you're not going to utilize in functions. So don't bother about changing them. Okay, till now, all good. Any questions for me? I've done this whole of it, this pivot table, active field, grouping. All three I've just completed. Can I move on?
Ma'am.
Okay. One thing I could have done here, the first question, which was on to total sales by month per salesperson, I could have really moved in the salesperson to column. Mm. But then what it is going to do me, such a big option is going to show me out. So see to it whether you want or you don't want. Okay. If I move in like this, maybe this is still okay. I can still have a look onto it. It's not too big. Still okay. Columns when they are lesser, na, it's more of a like rather than so many columns to really analyze in a pivot table, it's a headache. Okay. Next question is total sales by salesperson. By month is now removed. Then comes by geography. Like instead of month, it's now geography. Then you show percent grand total sales. Okay, now a few things you're going to learn here. First thing, let me remove my month and year. Now, please notice this one. Even if you have not done, I am just telling you. When you do a grouping, when you do the grade date grouping, those groupings, when you have added here to the pivot table, they get added to my pivot table field list also. I can utilize them one more time if I want. Okay. Now, along with salesperson, your geography has to be put into picture. So when I come here, either I put the geography onto my rows, I'll get something like this. Maybe I want to, maybe I can just change the design over here, bring it to a tabular format we can do, or maybe on an outline. All these things are there. Definitely you can try. Or else I can just bring in my geography to the columns. This is also much more possible. This is looking even more neater, to be very frank. It looks even more neater. And I have got some 6 columns of geographies, then their grand total. You may remove the grand total if you don't want. You can just switch it off. Both of them will be gone. But as of now, I have to keep it on. There is some purpose for it. I'll tell you what. Okay. This is nothing but a matrix only, nothing more. Now, rows, columns, and filters area, these 3 areas from our pivot table, you can add a field only one time. What do I mean by that? In rows, I've got my salesperson. If I try adding salesperson one more time, you might ask me, why should I add? I know we don't need to, but even if we try to add it one more time, it won't allow. It won't. Same way, maybe here if I try, it's a, see, since it's already there, it has directly moved into my rows. It won't allow second time addition. Same way geography also, if I try here, it's already there. If I now try to add geography to the rows, that from columns, it will just jump into my rows area. It won't do anything more than that. Filters, same way, if I try to add the same column twice, it won't allow. Why am I saying this is? There is a special feature of my values area. It will allow the same numerical column to be added more than once. When I say more than once means I need not restrict myself to adding it 2 times. I can add it any number of times, only that I should be able to handle them. Why am I saying this? Reason for it is there. You have a question over here which says as show grand percent grand total sales. Now, what you are seeing is a normal figure, just a numerical value. You are not seeing percentages as of now. I can make them to show percentages. To understand that, what I'll do is I will just you this drag in the sales column one more time to the values. See, it is allowing me to add the same sales field or sales column to the values area more than once. It doesn't stop me at all. It does. That's the specialty of my values. Now, what you're seeing is 2 times they have been added. One, I want to keep it as my sales value itself. Another, I want to change them. How can I do? Now, I did a right click. You have 2 options here. One is summarize value by. This is nothing but it is telling us what summarization is being applied over here, which is by default SUM. As is the case for any BI tool, by default, SUM is the default aggregation. I might change it to average. It's possible. Sorry. I might do that. Or maybe maximum, minimum. Every other option I can try. Okay, I've gone back to my sum only. Again, do a right click. There is something like show values as. Here you've got a good bunch of options that you can just the display value underlying value is nothing but a number. You are going to change it a good number of times. Like there are different options of, let me say, that same numerical value can be displayed in different formats. Okay. When it's a no calculation, just show me number only, normal numerical value. But if I just do something like percent of grand total, I am going to see that. But how does this get calculated? Let's understand that. But before that, I want to do one more thing. I have closed that field list. For there are 6 geographies, and for each sales column has been added twice. So 6 into 2 is 12. 12 columns you're seeing. Along with that, you'll see grand total also 2 more times. So 12 plus 2, 14 columns you have to see. Instead of seeing 14 columns getting confused, I will reduce it to just 2 of them. Okay. I'll come here, just maybe keep in Australia and India. Okay. Not need more than that, so that we get to know, we do understand easily what do you mean by a percent grand total, what do you mean by a percent column total, and what do you mean by a percent row total. Okay. Now, before I move on, you have to tell me what is the grand total, what is row total over here. For that, I'll remove this. First, get that clear. These values are your row total. Why row total? Because this value 76,118, it's the total for Barfogni across 2 geographies. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
What is this value? 4,63,000. What is this value? Is it for entire Australia, inclusive of all salesperson? Like, is it for whole of Australia? How much revenue is being generated out of Australia? Is that 4,663? Hmm? So can I tell them as column totals? If you
Yes,
have a
ma'am.
doubt, it's here. I just select this. If I
Yes, ma'am.
select all these values, what am I getting here? 463386. That same value is only available here. So these are your column totals. Just relate easy, remember. Now, this is your column labels. Bottom you're seeing it's your column totals. These are your row totals. Row I have here as salesperson. So each salesperson overall, okay, here just you have to now understand or imagine for some time that we are doing sales only 2 geographies, not that we are doing sales in 6 geographies. We are doing sales in just 2 geographies, only India and Australia, nothing more than that. Okay. So now I guess you are able to understand what is a row total, what is a column total. So these 2 verbs are clear now. You'll be able to understand in a matrix what is a column total, what is a row total. Okay, if that is the case, there is one more word that being called as grand total. I know already that value is being written here, I know that. But this is your grand total. Like sum of all of, I mean, the total of your column totals or total of your row totals. Okay, don't get confused by the sentence. Just add these two, you're going to get this 981,397. Same way, if I add these, all of these column row totals, I'm going to get that same value. Okay, so this is your grand total. These are your column totals. These are your row totals. Clear? Can I move on?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now coming to the question here. We have total sales by salesperson. Yes. By geography. Yeah. One minute. Yes, we have by geography also. Now show grand total sales, percent grand total sales. I'm just going to click on this, right click. Okay, I'll do one thing now. I'll add in that sales value one more time. And I'll change that second one to the percent grand total. So summarize value is still sum. Show values is percent of grand total. Now I'll do small changes here, okay, just to make things easier for us to understand. Okay, instead of grand total, I might just put it as GT also. Understand GT is nothing but grand total. Okay. Chalo. Now, what is it that we have to, how does this 4.3 get calculated? Let's understand that. Now it is, if I pick up this value, or maybe let's say bar Fogny for India, the sales is 33,000 and all. What is the grand total here? What is the grand total value?
51,000. No, 5
Huh?
lakh 17. Down, ma'am. 5,17,993.
I'm asking you grand total. I didn't ask you column total. I'm asking you grand total.
9 lakh.
Okay.
9 lakh 81,000.
Sure?
379.
Sure, that is the grand total.
Yes, ma'am.
What about rest of you? You agree with her? Rest of you, do you agree with her what she told? Is that the grand total? You have to speak up. You cannot be keeping mum all the time. You're not school going kids anymore. You want me to treat like one? Okay. Anyway, I don't know. Okay, this is your grand total. What she told is right. So this value, or this say India value only, is 33,000. This 33,000 as a percentage of this 9 lakh 81 is 3.46. Three three nine six four divided by 981379 into 100. 3.46. This is this value. Say we pick up last one over here. 44373. The grand total, percent grand total is 4.52. How did this arrive? Four four three seven three divided by 981379 into 100. 4.52. This is this value, which Ram Mahesh is generating in Australia. So the Ram Mahesh, whatever the sales value that is generating in Australia, that value is 4.52 percentage of grand total. Whatever sales he is generating in Australia, that sales is what I'm saying. 4.2 means he has generated 4.252. Sorry, Ramesh has generated 4.52 percentage of grand total just by doing sales in Australia. You're getting my point? How are we calculating that percent grand total? That individual figure, individual value, when you find that as a, when you calculate it as a percentage of grand total, that is what is nothing but my percent grand total. No other big rocket science I am really putting here. Understand by the name, percent grand total. That figure, that value has to be calculated as a percent of grand total. Is that okay or not okay? Is that fine? Are you all there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next question comes as the same thing, total sales by salesperson by geography, but now show percent column total sales. Now, the same figure, the same sales value, I can, if I want to know what is the percent of column total, I can know that. What is the column total here? Before I move on, tell me. I'm adding sales for third time. What is column total? Tell me. Which one is that? Right click, show values as percent of column total. Tell me what is column total here? Okay. Before you understand simple ways, which field is there onto the columns? Is salesperson onto the columns or geography onto the columns?
Geography, ma'am.
So what are your column totals?
Um,
100%, that is the column total rate. That is
No. That is percent. You're saying it's in percentages, ma.
then total sale, that is the column. This one
This is
for
your
four
column
lakh
sales.
63,000.
I mean column total. That's why I
4 lakh
asked you
60.
which column is there in your column. I mean, which field that we have moved into the columns. We have geography. So geography wise total is your column total here. This is for Australia. This is for India. My rows have got my salesperson. This is my row totals. Clear? This is my grand total. Now we are finding out each of these sales value as a percentage of column total. Now this is in Australia for Barfogny, right? 42514. 42154. Total Australia sales, there is a column total for Australia is nothing but 4,63,000. 42154 divided by 463,386 into 100. 9.1%. It is 9.09, rounded about to 1 is 1 position or 1 decimal place is 9.1. That same figure is 4.3 percentage of grand total. That same figure is 9.1 percentage of column total. Are you able to understand this? I won't show you more, don't worry, but are you able to understand this? Is it getting clear or it's getting confused more and more? At least say that it's getting clear or you're getting confused. Let me know that at least. You have to understand in a table or a matrix, and I won't say table also, in a pivot table, or let me say it's in a matrix, what is a column total, what is a row total, what is a grand total. These three verbs you have to understand. Only when you understand that, it's going to get more clear. Because rest of the part is just ice, cherry on the cake only. Because once you understand the total, which total is what, which figure is what total, you just have to find the percentage of that only. That calculation is done by pivot table. If I'm just selecting the options, it is just getting displayed over there. The value, how it is getting displayed, that we are just selecting the option. Calculation is done by pivot table. But although it is doing the calculation, I have to understand what it is doing. Otherwise, what is the use? If I don't understand that, I cannot apply. Okay, do one thing. I'll suggest one thing. I'll stop here. You have the recording, na? It's everything is getting recorded, na? So go through the recording one more time. And then tomorrow, the first thing we'll go over this once again. Okay? Let me not talk more and get you people more confused. Okay? Yes or no?
Yes, okay, ma'am.
Okay then. Fine then. Take care. Good night. I'll meet you tomorrow. Just go through the recording and get clear as to what is your grand total, column total, and row total. If doubts is still there, no worries. Even if you understand or if you don't understand, I will go through what is a grand total, what is a column total, and what's a row total one more time in the first 2-3 minutes of the class, and then I move on to all these. Because identifying that itself is most important. Maybe I do have an instinct saying me, when these two were not there, it was easier for you all to understand. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
Ah, extra columns have been added, nothing else. I didn't do any magic. I didn't do any abracadabra. I didn't do anything. Only extra columns, extra sales values I'm adding, and I'm converting those figures to percentages. That's what I'm doing, nothing else. What is it? Something two extra, 3 columns have got added. But these figures are still the same. These figures, these total values are still the same. I should be able to locate it, but nothing else. Okay? So sit with this for some time, 5 to 10 minutes. When you are free, with a calm mind, it will be all good. Fine then. Thank you. Good night.